Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? PHP artisan. So, okay. That's okay. So create stacks. So we want to add, see how to add file uploading stuff in Laravel. So as usual, we need to then add an extra field in the migration file tags table. So we can add it anywhere. Let me just add it here. So table migration image is still going to be actually a string, not a text, because it's the URL we are saving in the database. So it will still be saved as a string. So let's just name it maybe image or file. Depends. Well, if not image one from you, let's just name it image. Anything related to image file related. Let's say image file. So whatever name you name it here should tally with the changes you will make for the model. So inside the app, model tags image file. Next, we own the and probably let's make this stuff nullable, which means it can as well be ignored when saving. When we're trying to save this stuff to the database, like we can leave this field and submit, and everything will still submit, but then it means it will be null in this particular column of the table. So this is how to make something optional, kind of like optional field. So we just need to add this nullable method to it. So PHP artisan migrates fresh. Mm, yeah. So I think the thing can still submit even if the person doesn't add image. So once we're done with migration, next thing is our view. Where is the view again? Okay, resources. So our create and edit can put the image field anywhere. Um, let's put it in this place. Uh, the design, the design, the design. Let's just take this one first like this. And paste it here. And change upload image. So instead of text area, How do we do file upload? We use input tag, the type. We don't need all this stuff. The type would be file. File. So the name, as usual, the name of the storing of the database. So we named it image underscore file. This ID is just something that should just match with the label. This for. So it's not really part of the storing of the database. The major thing that is storing database is this name. While the type of this input tag is a file, so it will trigger that this is for a file. Let's change this error stuff to image file. Image file. Inputs with input as opening and closing tag, not text. Inputs. Oh no, input doesn't have closing tag. It's just like this backslash. So in the norms, all these things supposed to just be in a straight line itself. Let's see with the complicate things. Yeah, something like this. So image file. So once we remember, anytime you're uploading an image, just remember in that form, in this form tag, there's something we always used to add in this form tag. That's n type stuff and multimedia form parts. Yeah, you don't add this stuff, or anything image or video upload will not work. So always add it in your form tag. I think this is HTML mandated thing. I think that's all for this view. So we need to then add this stuff to our controller that is saving this form. Task controller, this store. So which means we would as well need to add it to our requests first. So we have to validate the image that is being sent to be sure that it's an actual image that is being received. So like validation. So image file. So what should we add? So we made it nullable. So you can see, so the input required this time around because it's an optional field. So that's why I wrote that nullable there. So it should be an image. The type, the kind of images that it should accept: JPEG, PNG, JPEG. And just list all the different type of image, even GIF, GIF if you want. The maximum size, I think this one should be like 5 MB or so. 2 MB, I think this is 2 MB, 2 megabytes. And the maximum size of the image that it should approve, making the image will pass 2 megabyte size. So it's your choice to just modify it to what suits your tastes. So this one is just talking about the different types of images that we have, the main types: JPEG, PNG, depending on how the image is. Mm, can just add some custom messages here if we want for this image stuff. I can just say image file. If I want to talk about this particular one now, that is image. So the way I will send a message, the way I will write it would be like this. The uploaded file must be an image. Image file dot memes. That's talking about all this stuff. So in case it's none of them, so we'll let them know that only JPEG, PNG, TIFF, and SVG files are allowed. Then the last one, image file max. The image size must not exceed 2 MB. So I think by default, even if you write this stuff, right, it can still write it out in Laravel way. But as usual, this is just if you want to put your own kind of English. So all this, remember, all these rules are what is what usually happens whenever we submit something. So that's what this request would handle. That's what this validated data always hold. So now the main so the main part now is where are we once we try to submit this stuff now it will retrieve it will notice that there's an image there, but where are we storing the image? Because we need to store the image inside this our project. So for now, let's see how to store it inside this public directory where we're going to move it to. So from this place, let me put a space like this. So since this validated data normally is holding all the arrays that is being stored in that form, but what we want to be stored inside this validated data is actually a URL. Let me just start first so you understand better. So let's say this would undo the image upload functionality. So I'm going to create a check request. Like now, as if I'm creating a separate new request, checking if there is a file. So there's a function called like as file. So that is this request here. So we're trying to check the request to check if there is anything submitted that is a file, which surely there will be a file if we upload an image. So we're checking if something is a file there, and the name of that image stuff that we named the name of the table is image file. So I'm going to check the image file to check if it's holding a file or not. Wait, why is this thing showing undefined method? Requests as file. I'm not sure why it's showing this undefined. No, let's just continue first. So the request we will check the file there, or maybe it's just, let me just see, maybe instead of as file, maybe file. File exists. Let me see. Let me close. We want to try something. Let me close and open this ID to be sure if it's not VS Code that is misbehaving. Let's wait a bit. Okay, the red line is not showing anymore. Let me see. Let me start this development server PHP. That is serve. Okay, that's shown. Read entire file in an array. Undefined method. PHP IntelliSense. You know what? Let's ignore it. I think it has something to do with an extension too that is checking for some stuff. Let's ignore it first. So we check if it has a file. We check if it has a file. Funny enough, the thing don't come out too. We check if it has a file. So request file. So this file, this request file gong will hold the actual file there, which is, don't worry, which is image file. So let's store it inside the variable actual image, the image file gong. Oh, this thing dey vex matter is okay, let's do something. Let me just copy. Let me see. Oh, I don't. This was how I used to do it. Then let me see. Maybe undefined method PHP IntelliSense. Warning is actually a runtime error. It's just a static answer warning from the VS Code. Why the error extends blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's just a like it is correct. That's the point. But you just need some kind of like the VS Code is not knowing where this request is coming from, even though the request is actually coming from here. So it needs something like to call again using this kind of documentation where the request is really coming from. So you can see it don't come out. So now just this, it's kind of like VS Code related stuff, sha. So but the code itself is actually correct. It would work. So the solution is just for us to do this doc block stuff. So now it means it will be triggering these requests in this place. I think let me put this, instead of putting it here, let me put it here. Because I want, yeah, I want this request to take the revalidated issue. While this one now, this one is doing the requests normally without yet assessing anything like this validated stuff that we did. So that's the difference. So this one just using a normal raw request class. It's no kind of validation stuff. But this one is using the validated request directly. So that's the thing. Okay, so moving forward. So like I said, the first step here was checking the submission that was done, checking this file part. Remember, this request is holding an array of all the submitted stuff. So it's checking the key, which is image file, which is name of that database column of this image. So it's checking if it has a file. So if yes, it has a file, let's grab that file and put it inside this variable called image file. So that's what's happening. So this image file is kind of as if it is holding that file, even though it's like a variable. So next thing, like let's name that file. Like let's just like update the name of that file. So let's just say the image file name. Let's add the current time right now to it. Let's use like concatenation stuff. So current time to it plus the original file name that was uploaded, because surely the image has a file name. So image file, there's a function called get client blah blah blah, get client original name. So this get client original name is just like the normal name of the image. Let's say I am uploading this particular image called slide 12. So this is the original name of the image. So that's what the get client is getting. So we're getting that original name of the image, then we are concatenating it, like joining it together with the current time. So the name will now be the current time merged with underscore, then the original name. Everything together will be the new name that will be stored in our project. And this is the variable that is holding that new name now of that file. So now we need to then move that file. And where are we moving it to? So like I said, we're going to be moving it to the public directory. This public directory. So we say the image file again. We want to move the image file. So we're calling, remember, this image file is what is holding the actual image. So we're calling it again. So we're holding that image, we're trying to move it. So we're moving it to the public part. So the public parts, uploads, let's just leave it as uploads, then comma, then space, the name of the image. So we name that one image file name. So this will move it to the public parts, and this is the public parts we're talking about here. And this uploads here, it will create a directory here called uploads. So everything will now be stored inside of this directory. That's what is happening here. So that's the part. So if depending if there are different kind of uploads you are doing for different kind of stuff, so you can just maybe put another directory of, say maybe this one is for tax related, then you know that inside this upload there will also be another folder called tax, then it will be stored inside that other folder. So this is just like a path, a direction of where you want it to be stored. So let me just keep it simple. So uploads. So we'll move it to the public. Let me add the comments to it. So move the uploaded file to the public directory. So after moving it, let's generate the URL, like how we can locate it from here. So let's generate the URL. So we can just say, so let me name it as image file URL, or where we can locate it from our project directory. So URL uploads dot the name of the file gone. So image file name. So like if I want to locate, let's say there are images in this upload place now. For me to locate it, it should go into the uploads directory / then the name of that file. Remember, it's different. The names of the file will be showing, the pictures will be here. So the name of that file to locate the particular file. So that's how to track the location, the URL. We don't need to be adding, I know there's public here, but we don't need to add public here. That's why I also didn't add public here. So by default, Laravel knows that you are talking about the public directory. So this public directory is usually just all those public directory we've been doing, just like the art bit of the project. You can see the index.php is also here. So that's how we can trace the location of that image. So it's inside the uploads directory / the name of the image. That's how we can get the URL. So that's what will be stored now in the database. Upload / the name of the image. That's what will be stored there. So we have to then go back to this our validated data part and like reset the value that will be holding here inside this validated data for the image part. So I'm going to call that validated data. And remember, it's an array, and for you to access a key of an array, you have to access it this way. You have to use this bracket here and call that key, which is image file. So now we want to like update the value that will be there, and the value now that we want it to be there is the image file URL. So instead of this updated or validated data holding the raw image itself, so we are resetting it here, like we are overriding the previous key it is holding, the previous value, because we are accessing it from the key, and this will be the new value. So we want it to be saving the URL. So we can say save the image as URL to the database. So let me comment this one and say generate the URL for the image. So this is basically just it. So don't need to do any other thing. Every other thing will work. So this is it for the uploading of the image. So let's test these stuffs and see. Let me remove this. Refresh. Upload image. Okay. So let's say is title, test, status, pending, description, some description, image upload. Let's take this one. Now let's go to desktop. Let's take this one. Enable. So create tags. Tags created successfully. Let's check our database. Localhost, phpMyAdmin. To-do app, tags. So you can see now it's been saved successfully in database. So slash upload. Remember, we don't need to add anything like public because the index.php is like public is more like a general stuff that can be located easily by Laravel. So just the URL from the site is like representing that public. Then you have the uploads directory. Then this is the time that we that time function that we set there. Where is it? This time. Then underscore. Then the name of the image. So you can see that's why you're seeing the underscore here. This underscore here. Then the name of the image, which is slide 14, which indeed was the name of the image. This was the one we, where is the image we even did save? Yeah, this one, slide 14. So that's the original name of the image, slide 14. So those is just that's the setting that we did in this naming of the image that you are seeing there. Then we move it. So the upload, you can see now, see the uploads, you don't get the image there too. So it gets moved inside the uploads directory alongside the name. So the name is there too. So now if we want to access it, so this time around we're just trying to store it as a URL inside the database instead. So image URL is what we are storing inside the validated data of the image field. So that's why we're seeing it in URL formats in the database, which is this can look like a URL link format. So if we even grab this URL format, we can use it to also see the image. Like, let me copy this URL stuff. If I paste it in the browser here like this, you can see now we are seeing the image. So this link like this is actually holding an image, just like all the stuff that if you see in Google Images. Let me just click images here. If I click, let me just click one image. Right click, whereby they will say copy image address. So this is just as if, well, so if I right click now, copy image address, if I paste that image address here, is the actual image that will come out here. So it's just as if we are storing it according to the image address. So this is just like an address, like the URL for the image. That's why it is popping up like this. So yeah, so the saving is actually working. So we need to also work on the updating of the image. So the updating is actually similar to the saving. We just need to duplicate it. So just copy this entire code of the store. The update is inside this update stuff here. So we just need to come here, after here, paste this entire stuff, and it will update. So once you do it once here, just to carry it, and paste it here, then the update tool would work. So we can test the updates now. Oh, we can't test the updates yet because we are yet to, we only create the, we only did it in the create, like we don't have it yet in the update page. Like if I click edit, we don't have image stuff here. So let's copy it from what we did here in the create image upload. Copy, then go to the edit. Let's put it in the same position here. So paste, and also don't forget about adding this stuff in the form tag unless your image will not upload. And type multi-form data. So upload image. So let's refresh this. So we can see it now. So let's change this image to something else, to another, this dark logo of Lex for sure, which is slide 15. The name is slide 15, so you can see slide 15. So let's click on update tags. Updated successfully. Let's check if toolkit is updated, or we can as well check our database. I mean, this our public stuff. So you can see now we have slide 15 here. If you click on it, so which means it's actually saved. Let's refresh this. Here we're still seeing slide 14, so let's refresh and see if 15 will be showing. You can see now we have slide 15. So the update is working. The update is working. So I think it will be nice for us to be able to at least see the formal image that is here, or to know if there's already an image here inside, because sometimes remember this image field is also optional, so it's possible someone can put image or person can decide not to put image because we made it an optional field. So but let's find a way to show an indication that there is actually an image present here. So one of the way we can just do it, can just do something like on and off, like 1 or 0 to check. So something like I can add an if statement kind of check, which will be if tags holds image file. Like if there is an image file, let it print 1, else let it print 0. Then end if. So this is just like an if statement I wrote. Remember, we're using blade approach. So at if, and anything you they do it at if or at anything, you always need to end it. So end if. So we're checking to see if, remember for the edits, we're retrieving data of the edit from tags. Like we check the control at the edits part. This is the edits, and it's coming from this tags. So the compact, the tags here. So then tags, then the name of that column for the image, which is image slash file underscore file. So we're trying to check if this is true. This is checking if it is true, if it owes something. So if yes, it can see that there's something there, let it output 1. But else, if there is nothing there, I think this else said I'm supposed to, yeah. So else, if there's nothing there else, let it print out 0, then end the if. So let's refresh this edit page. I think we should see something like 1 in this label because we did it in the label. Refresh 1, so which means there is something there. Assuming there is nothing there, it will be 0. So another thing too could be maybe wanting to see the image gong kuro with your eyes, maybe for this place. So let's see if we can implement that one. Maybe aside using this 1 or 0, we want to see the old image physically here. Yeah, use this. So we can add it, we can add an extra stuff. I think we can just do it. Where should we do it? Maybe let's do it under this label before the input stuff. But this time I'm going to use the, I think the image tag. So the source for that image would be tags @ image file. Let's see if this would show us the image. Refresh. Well, it shows the image, but as usual, the image is too big, so we're going to need to do like some, CSS adjustments to reduce the size, make it something we will see. But you get the point. So this is an image tag to view an image, and this is the source, where the source, and you can see this source is, remember this is holding the URL of the image. That's why it's showed directly. So because the URL of that image is exactly the image to itself, that's why we see the image here once. How can we even reduce this thing? I'm not so good with all this design workshop. Bootstrap stuff. Like all this bootstrap design matter now. I know I say form control, width, height. How they even do their width? Most of these things na stuff we check bootstrap. Uh, Not border. Contents, images, image float, image floats, border. More, I beg, I don't get that kind of time now. Okay, what can let's just do it this way. Reduce the size to okay. They add style here, they added CSS here. Responsive small image width auto and edge. Let's just pick this first one. They use both bootstrap and CSS. So let's see, refresh. Okay, load image. So you should get the point. Anyway, you want to put them. This is not really looking good. Maybe let's move it after the input tag. Like, yeah, refresh, something like this. So it's okay like this. So we are done. This is our image. So we can just use the same logic for show. I think for show page we need to also get to see the image as show. So the same logic we use for this part, which is majorly this image tag, and just copy it and go to the show page, show blade, and look for where we want to put it. When we go put another like this, maybe after description, refresh. So that's basically it. So that's how to just add extra to upload image. So there are some more, well, let's say we are kind of like done with this all to do stuff, but the entire code still needs some kind of improvement and adjustments which we are yet to do. So we'll do that in the next class. So any questions so far from this file upload stuff? I think it's pretty simple and straightforward. Just that initial slide on. All right. That way long. Eh? We've already done that one now. Oh, okay, 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 okay. Mm. Okay, let's call it a day. In fact, I will check on Gladys self today. Take care. Bye.